Welcome to Moms and Mountains, a podcast for moms of all types, divorced, single, married, or widowed. We'll talk about our kids, life, marriages, families, ourselves, and most importantly, our relationship with God. I want to empower all moms to overcome the greatest and smallest mountains of our lives through the power of Jesus Christ. And I want all moms to know they are not alone in their struggles. Thank you for joining me, and let's get into the episode. Well, happy day after Christmas, everyone. Welcome to the Moms and Mountains podcast. It has been 2 years since I have done one of these. I was just looking back, and I know it's been a while since I've recorded, but I was looking back at the last time I posted, and it was January of 2022, I think. That's entirely too long. Actually, I think it was 23, but either way, that's way too long. So I wanted to come back on and give a few updates. I do have a reason. Maybe not a 2-year long reason, but maybe. Back in 23, I got married and then was pregnant with twins shortly after that. So I think it was a few months after that, found out I was pregnant with twins. We also moved out to a more rural area. We moved by the water and we bought a house. So 2023 was quite the busy year. And then, of course, after that in 24, so earlier this year, we had our twins, a boy and a girl. So it's kind of an amazing story. It's how God blessed us, something that we thought was completely impossible financially and just in other ways. But it ended up that we were actually paid to buy our house, which is insane. And the market at the time it still is crazy, but at the time it was even crazier. And we did not think we could afford a house even out in the rural area that we were looking. But we found a house that had been on the market for a while. And of course, we're on the way there. And I'm thinking to myself, yes, the pictures look gorgeous and this looks perfect. And it has a little bit of land. And oh, I would love this. And it's right next to the water. So what's wrong with it since it's been on the market for so long? But I think, actually, I know that God was holding this place for us. So that's an amazing story, probably something that I would love to get into at another point. But I kind of just wanted to update you and just get back into doing this. Of course, having twins, it's been hard to really do much of anything, like washing my hair or taking a shower. Like, let's be real. If you guys who were following my podcast before, I do also have a 4-year-old daughter now. So she just turned 4, and it's a bit of a chaos mess, but I like to call it an organized chaos, and that's okay. I don't think you can really get much better than that with 3 young kids under 5. Plus, I'm still working full time, so it's just it's a lot going on over here. But just kind of looking back over the past 2 years since I've done a podcast, it's just a really beautiful story of redemption and a new beginning. When I started doing the podcast, I was just dating my husband. And he asked me to marry him. I think it was December 2022. And then, we got married in March of 2023. So it was very quick, but we knew, like, when you know, that type of thing, how people say, but, there was just really no reason to wait too much longer. We had a very simple wedding, and it was small, and it was at, a really, a church that was very close to our heart, an amazing pastor, the whole thing. It was really nice. And it was, of course, I had mentioned before on the podcast, I'm divorced. So this was my second time getting married, but this was something very special to me. And it was It was not about money. It was not about the size of the wedding. It was not about the cake. And I mean, like, we had a Costco cake, which was fantastic, by the way. It was just very simple. And I think it was a great start to our marriage and our family. And we really, really strive to live a simple life, which is so much less complicated. And there's a lot less anxiety and pressure associated with that. But anyway, it's just a great new beginning for me, for my daughter. Just a wonderful gift that God has given us. I've gone from an abusive marriage, starting over. We had 2 custody battles. We were in a small apartment in one of the most expensive areas in the country before we moved. And when I was doing this podcast, I remember sitting in my bedroom on the bed, trying to figure out how I was going to do this with a toddler just outside the door, basically. But now I'm married to the most amazing, loving husband. He's an outstanding father to all 3 kids. We have a beautiful house. It is not the biggest house, but it's a really great size for us, and it's perfect. We really don't want anything too, large or grand. And we have property. We have the beach right down the road. We live in a very safe area. It's a slower pace of life, of course, living outside of a city in a congested area. And now we are looking to set up our homestead. We've only got about an acre, but we'd like to do as much homesteading as possible. We did try a garden last year. But we had twins right in when growing season was starting. So it was mostly my husband, and I wasn't quite able to help. And he was kind of obviously running in and out, trying to help with the twins and helping with all the things, all the toddler, everything. So we are going to go again this year, and I'm going to be able to help more. We also got chickens last year, which has been phenomenal. Being able to have our own eggs. The difference in fresh eggs is night and day. We eat eggs every morning, so it was a good choice for us. So we're looking to get more chickens actually this week. So kind of just a total growth over the last 2 years. A lot of changes, which has been so nice. And I do believe that none of us deserve good. I believe that we're all sinful, and that doesn't mean that I'm getting down on myself. I'm not beating myself up about it, because everyone is, and it's part of sin, and part of this world, and how Adam and Eve brought sin into the world. But I'm recognizing that I'm sinful. I'm recognizing that I don't deserve these things, and yet God still blesses us with these things because He loves us, because He wants us to have he wants us to have first a relationship with Him and to grow and to be more like Him, but He also wants to give us good things and love us and be a good father to us. So, of course, 2 sweet, healthy babies are, my 4-year-old, she is just loving on them. They play together. I mean, they go crazy together now. The twins are almost a year old. So it's just, they're getting into where they're running into each other and butting heads and trying to play on the pillows and jumping up and down. And it's really, really sweet to watch. She's very helpful with them as well. So the whole story of how we got here and the marriage and the twins and all of that, I'd love to do maybe one episode on that, or maybe a couple. But I would like to have my husband on and do that with him, and we can just chat about it, tell you guys about the story, because it is a really amazing story. There's just a lot of details, especially in the moving, and having the babies, very unexpected. So just really, really, it's been an awesome 2 years. A lot of challenges, obviously. Moving and having babies is never easy. And like I mentioned, I had gone through one custody battle a few years back, and then I had to go through another one after I got married and moved. So It'd be really awesome to get on and do a episode about that. But really just wanted to come on, kind of like get this thing going again. And I did want to talk about something on my mind recently. Just kind of wanted to share something from the Bible with you. So reading from 2 Samuel 22, 38 through 40. I have pursued my enemies and destroyed them. And this is David talking. Neither did I turn back again till they were destroyed. And I have destroyed them and wounded them so that they could not rise. They have fallen under my feet. For you have armed me with strength for the battle. You have subdued under me those who rose against me. I was reading this the other day, and I realized something, that sometimes as a church and as a people and just individually myself, we kind of often think that God just delivers us and wins for us. And yes, he does. But we have to do something. We have to fight. We have to make actions. We have to be intentional. We have to kind of take steps and do an action in order for him to use us to win that battle. Because it says, David says, I have pursued my enemies and destroyed them. And he didn't turn back until they were destroyed, it says. So he had to do that. The other thing is that he says that he has been armed with strength for the battle. So God arms us with what we need, but he doesn't pull our strings like a puppet and force us to fight or force us to do anything. I feel like I might have mentioned this before, and if I haven't, God is not an abusive God, so he doesn't force us to do anything. He makes a way, he arms us, he equips us, he gives us what we need, he gives us the open door and the free will, and then he works in ways we don't always understand, and sometimes we do understand, but he lays out a path for us and he fights for us, but he doesn't move our arms, he doesn't move our feet, he doesn't swing the sword for us. Maybe sometimes he does in certain ways, but often we need to get up and do something, either physically with our body or mentally, or it just depends on the situation. So I think this passage not only talks about defeating physical enemies, especially in David's case, you could take this at face value, and David is saying, I'm defeating my physical enemies. He was defeating the ones that were coming against Israel and fighting against them, and he was defeating them with God's help, of course. But really, this is also about a mental fight, because I find that the mental battles are harder to deal with many times than any physical battle. So even though God delivers us, we have to fight. And yes, he goes before us. It says he arms us with strength. So the passage, to me, it shows how David still had to physically fight, even though God would deliver him and had armed him with what he needed. So we have to fight every day. For me, personally, anxiety is my one of my enemies. Impatience, lately with 3 kids now, 2 babies, a full-time job, and all the other things that I have going on and we have going on as a family. I get impatient and I get frustrated, and people are asking me things all day long and work and at home, and it gets to be very overstimulating sometimes. But that's one of my enemies is in the feeling of impatience, and also the desire to control. I may have said this as well before, but I consider myself a very type A person, and I try not to label myself, but I do see that I'm more organized, and I like to have things a certain way, and that can be a good thing, but can also be a bad thing. So sometimes my desire to control is an enemy that I need to fight. But I thought about this, and I thought, well, what exactly does the fighting look like? It doesn't just mean saying, I'm not going to be anxious or impatient today. Sometimes we have to do something. Sometimes this looks like waking up early before your kids, having time to yourself and time for God, taking care of yourself, taking breaks, like doing something by yourself, going for a walk, taking a shower is not necessarily a break unless you're like doing one of those, hair and shaving and moisturizing and the whole thing. We call it an everything shower. Unless you're doing one of those, taking a 5-minute shower is not really a break. I understand sometimes it's just there's too much going on, but trying to make time, go for a walk or whatever it is that you enjoy. Often for me, it's being outside, especially when it's warmer. When it's cold, that's tough. But, just taking care of yourself mentally and physically. Or it could be a date night with your husband. These days, we don't get very much of that. We don't live near any family, unfortunately, just due to different circumstances. But when we do see our family, we try to have at least one date night or a few hours where we can go out and do something together. And that'll hopefully get easier as they get older. For me, the other thing I thought of is I was having a lot of trouble in the mornings. I was getting very impatient and very snappy in the mornings. And I realized that I was getting up early, having my Bible time, drinking my coffee, all that. But by, I'd say, an hour and a half into it, everybody started to wake up. And I was getting very snappy and impatient and angry. And I was like, what is wrong with me? And I would just wake up every day and be like, don't be impatient today. And then I'd just snap at somebody and be impatient. And I started realizing that I was hungry. I just need to eat something. I was trying to wait for everybody to wake up, and then we have breakfast. And by the time breakfast was made, it's like 2 hours after I've woken up. I realized that I needed to eat. I'm still breastfeeding. I'm still pumping milk. I need to be able to eat something. And even just me as I was built, I need to eat. I can't go without food for too long. So, I just realized I had a little snack, and that seemed to help. So sometimes it's just taking an action, as simple as that. And like I said before, God arms us. We just need to figure out what weapons we need to use or how to fight. He's given us everything we need, or he's given us access to everything we need. And we just kind of have to spend some time with him, maybe some time with people that are close to you, and trying to figure out, how can I fix, or you're still going to struggle with it, but how can I address this problem? How can I fight this enemy? What's the best way to do that? And you might have to fight it every single day, and that's just kind of part of the journey. And that's why God is there, and that's why we need to pray and stay close to him every single day, because we need the strength every single day. We're going to sometimes make mistake day after day. That's the whole reason why forgiveness exists. It is part of the life journey. It is part of the reason why we're here. And I believe we're here to give glory to God. And so fighting every single day is giving glory to God. And God works on us to make us look more and more like him every single day. If we believe in him and we've accepted his gift of salvation, then he is going to work on us every single day. The entire goal is to look more and more like Jesus, to sin less and less and less until we reach heaven, and then we will sin no more and we will be perfect. He will make us perfect. It's nothing that we do. It's everything that he's done. And we learn from our mistakes. So we kind of have to just keep going and fighting the battle. So that's kind of what I just wanted to talk about today. Just kind of get on here and give a little update and get back into things. I hope that everyone who is listening had a great Christmas. I hope that you maybe continued traditions or started new ones. This year we handed out cookies to people who were working on Christmas, which thankfully in a rural area out here, there wasn't too many people, but we did bless some people with cookies and wrote a Bible verse on it, and that was really nice. So I enjoyed that. And, it's been nice having some time off from work and being able to just relax and rest and get some things done. But I hope that you and your family had a good week, and I hope that you have a great new year. And I will try to post more often, and I'm going to make time for it. So happy new year, and I hope this podcast blesses you a little bit, and please share it with others. Until next time. If you enjoyed this podcast, please give it a review. This helps to recommend this podcast to others. You can also follow my Instagram at Moms and Mountains Podcast, all one word. Bye-bye for now, and we'll see you at the next episode.